follow. If they don't do them, well, then they're not happy. So I think some of the commandments. Welcome to another exciting biblical story. You know what? Daniel, he was a wonderful man of God, and God gave him wisdom. And he was so wise, but he honored God. Do you know what? Daniel prayed 3 times a day, and he had an open window towards Jerusalem. And Darius, he was in charge of Media and Persia, and he divided his county into 120 regions. And he put 120 governors over these regions. But he had to also put 3 men who watch over the 120. But then he found out that Daniel was so wise and all his decisions were so clever that Darius said, Daniel, you rule the whole nation. And you know what Daniel did? I think secretly he honored God and asked God for wisdom each time. But now he was in a very, very high position, and this caused the envy of the other governors. And they said, how can we accuse Daniel? We want to see him off his high position. They were so envious. And they watched Daniel and they looked at him and they saw, oh, Daniel, he was such a faithful man. He did everything right. He was loyal to the king. He was hard and busy working. And he could not be accused of any mistakes. How can we get him? Did you see him? He's praying. He's praying 3 times a day. You know, we could say to King Darius that everyone should pray only to him and then we get him. Ha ha ha! Isn't that clever? So they went to King Darius, and King Darius, you should live forever and ever. You're such a beautiful king and your kingship is so great. Why don't you pass a law that within 30 days no one can pray only to you, Darius? No one, to no other god, and to no gods, only to you, Darius. Wouldn't that be a nice law? You're such a great ruler. Yes, and you know what? Darius didn't think. He didn't think of Daniel. And he passed a law. And this law couldn't be changed. And he signed it even with his signature and his seal. So Daniel heard that Darius passed this law, but he loved God so much that he didn't care. He thought, I love him and I pray to him, and no one can stop me from praying to my God. So he went to his room 3 times a day and he prayed, even with an open window direction heading Jerusalem. And you know, these 3 men, these officials, they watched him. Hey, do you see him pray? He's praying. And Daniel, he praised God and he thanked him 3 times a day, and he didn't care. He loved God so much. So the 3 men, they went to King Darius and said, you passed the law that no one can pray within 30 days only to you, King Darius. And you know what? Your Daniel, the highest officer, called Belshazzar, he is praying, and you have to stand what you said. So King Darius was so sad, and he thought, what can I do to rescue Daniel? I love him so much, and he is such a wonderful man. But he knew he couldn't change the law. King Tyrus, he loved Daniel so much, and he was thinking of a way to rescue him, but his commandment couldn't be changed. So he was very, very sad. So Daniel was put in the pit of the lions. And you know what? God protected him. God did such a miracle. Probably he sent angels to hold the mouth of the lion, so they could not harm Daniel. And you know, the king, he could not sleep the whole night. He wandered around and he did not eat and he did not have any entertainment. And in the morning, very early in the morning, he came and he looked into the pit where the lions were. And you know what? He saw Daniel alive. Daniel, your God protected you. You're still alive. Daniel, wonderful, come out, come out. And you know what? The people who accused Daniel and who made the king pass out this law, they have been punished, and they and their families were taken to the lions, and the lions killed them. And Daniel, he just thanked God that God has rescued his life, and he prayed 3 times a day, and he had no fear of man. And you know what? Daniel, he loved God so much. And in his story at chapter 9, Daniel prayed, God, forgive the sins of our nation to God. Oh, forgive the Jewish people that have been killing the prophets. Oh God, forgive all the sins what our forefathers have done. Oh, I'm ashamed of the sins what our forefathers have done. And we also can pray to God that God would forgive the sin of the forefathers of our family. And because Daniel prayed so hard, God forgave the nation of Israel. This was the way that they could come back to Jerusalem and build the walls of Jerusalem. And you know what? Daniel fasted and prayed. And suddenly an angel appeared, and an angel showed him the history of mankind. And you know, God showed him the different kingdoms of this world. And he even showed him that at the end time there will be a godly kingdom ruling on this nation. And that the Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, would come back to this nation of Israel. And Yeshua would just destroy all the nations of the world. And he will come back to Israel, to this land, and he will establish peace on earth. God has showed that to Daniel in a vision. And this time will come soon, that he will come in the clouds. He will come back to Jerusalem, and he will establish peace on the whole earth. And all nations of the world will see him, and they will cry when they see him. Jesus Christ will come back. Yeshua HaMashiach will come back to this nation. And Daniel saw him in a vision. So God loves you very, very much. And do what Daniel did. Just pray too, and have no fear if other children accuse you. God can protect you. Have no fear if you come in dangerous situation. God protects you. Just keep on praying and keep on keeping the commandments of God. Love God with all your heart and pray to Him. He can take away the fear of your heart. He can help you all times. He can help you in each situation. He's a loving Father, and He cares for you. And God sent even an angel. You know, when Daniel was in the lion's pit, And the angel probably was holding the mouth of the lion, so Daniel was protected. God can protect you and hide you, and He has mighty angels to protect you. Just believe in Him. Give your life to Jesus. Say, Jesus, come in my heart. I give you my whole life. And He can protect you always. He is the living God. He loves you very, very much. God loves you so much. And He can even give you wisdom, like He gave wisdom to Daniel.